Hello there everybody, and welcome to this feature presentation on YouTube. I am King Mac, your hamburger pal. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to enjoy a hot fresh cheeseburger along with some delicious golden french fries, a tasty milkshake, and a nice soft drink. Also be sure to grab some hot buttery popcorn while you're at it as you enjoy this episode of TTBurger Game Reviews on YouTube.
Hey everybody! Welcome back to TTBurger Game Reviews. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to our TTBurger Remastered Game Review here, episode 14, part 1 of one part. Today we're talking about a Sega game, an arcade game, ported to the home consoles, first Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, and Nintendo GameCube, and more. And a sequel for the arcade and Dreamcast. And a third game on the Xbox with compilation of the first two games with better graphics and its own exclusive mode, Crazy Taxi. Okay, I'm not gonna do that voice forever. It's just low. That's how the narrator sounds like in the game. It's one of like get everyone into the spirit there, you know. But it's I, Tony. We're back with more TTBurger Remastered Game Reviews here, talking about a Sega that first started off in the arcades and then ported to the home consoles later on. And yes, I know we're all dressed up here in its outfit here, but it's the month of March. That means St. Patrick's Day is upon us. So what are we waiting in the spirit by dressing up like a TTBurger leprechaun or so like that, with this green shirt, the green glasses, the green hat? I mean, how can you go wrong there? Well, things you can't go wrong. So let's get started here. We're talking about Crazy Taxi, the PlayStation 2 version here, first released in 1999 in the arcade. Then January 24th, 2000 for the Dreamcast. May 17th, 2001 for the PlayStation 2. Then November 17th, 2001 for the Nintendo GameCube. There was also a PC version, a PSP version with a copy of the two games, and a PS2 version, a 360 version, and more. The PlayStation 2 version here. So let's get started. Crazy Taxi is a fun, memorable game. When it was first released, it was very memorable and a fun arcade game. The premise is you pick from one of four cabbies: Axel, Beatty Joe, Gina, and Gus. You drive a taxi, pick up passengers, take them to their destinations. You get money for it, and the more money and passengers you pick up, the higher your ranking and score will be. For this review, I picked Gina as my cabbie. The end result is a great game, but not without its flaws. So let's get started here, and we see a few modes here: arcade, original, and crazy box. Arcade mode is the arcade mode where you can play by arcade rules, work for 3 minutes, work for 5 minutes, or work for 10 minutes. We drive around in the West Coast City, which is basically San Francisco. We are playing by arcade rules here for this review, and when you have our settings here for 70 seconds to get as much money as possible before the time runs out. You get more time as you pick up more passengers and deliver them as fast as possible. The original mode is a different city which is also based off of San Francisco. Crazy Box is a bunch of mini games which are not very fun to play and are boring, so let's move on. Then we get into the game where we see the Wolfman Jack sound like, "It's party time, let's have some fun! Said it's time to make some crazy money, are you ready? Here we go!" Now, I should note here the vehicle physics are very wonky and floaty like an inflatable raft in a swimming pool. It does take a little time to get used to because of the controls, but they are not the worst, you can get used to them. The PlayStation 2 is considered a butchered port due to the graphical issues and some slowdown and bogged down places where it does not need to bog down. I will say that yeah, it is not a perfect port, and yes, the Dreamcast version is better. Those who do not own Dreamcast should check the PlayStation 2 port out because it's still a pretty damn good version. But let's continue here. As we see, we are picking up as many customers as we can, take them to Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Fila, Popcorn Mania, the original Levi's store, Tower Records, and fun times to earn the money in the game by doing some crazy taxi stunts, making crazy money and more. The graphics aside from the issues are pretty good. Sure, it may not look as good as the Dreamcast or arcade versions due to some slowdown, and some of the colors are a little washed up and blurry, but they still are pretty good for a PlayStation 2 game. The character models look okay. They have no facial animations or so. It is an arcade game, so that was mainly expected, so I can let that slide here. The taxi models look good. For each cabbie driver has their own taxi and their convertibles too, which is really cool. The cities are huge, a lot of content to them, but the worst part of the graphics is the poppin'. The poppin' is bad in all the versions, and to this day the poppin' looks horribly bad, like some of the worst poppin' I've ever seen. I mean, I know this was an arcade game released in 1999, but still, I know you're able to get away with it back then, but it just looks awful. The auditory department is really cool for the most part. The music is by The Offspring and Bad Religion, two bands I enjoy, and some of the songs I love them too. Like from The Offspring we have All I Want, Way Down the Line, and Change the World. And Bad Religion we have 10 2010, Them and Us, and Inner Logic. The tracks are amazing and I love them. Sadly though, due to copyright claims, I had to turn the music off, and the new release of the games due to copyright claims, the music by The Offspring and Bad Religion are absent, and in their places is music by non-copyrighted bands, and they are not as good as the music by The Offspring and Bad Religion. For the voice acting though, it is good, I will admit that much, but the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2 versions have different voice actors for some odd reason. Sure, they're both equally good, but was the change necessary? The PSP version has the worst voice acting of the bunch. They sound like they're on cocaine, like trying to deliver lines like eating too many greasy cheeseburgers from a rundown burger shack that's falling apart, especially hearing lines like, "Drop me up to get some yummy chicken, take me to go on some pizza, take me to the church, I need to get to the heliport." Like, I know those lines were in the other games, but the way the voices deliver them is the thing. The Wolfman Jack sound like really fits the lone bright spot. I'm sure if Wolfman Jack was alive, he would have been proud of how this guy almost sounds like him. We have yet to get into the gameplay, and it's simple mindless fun of driving a taxi, picking up passengers, and delivering them to their destinations while on the time limit. The faster you get them to their destinations, the more money and time you receive. Depending on how much money you earn on the rating, you receive at the end. And it's simple fun. You have some cool cheat codes here, like either cheat that replaces your taxi cab with a taxi bike. On another day, locations of certain things are different, and more. The controls are awkward, especially using the L1 and R1 shoulder buttons as your brake and gas, while X and circle button shifts you into gears. You can change the controls around, but they're still going to feel awkward no matter what. It's all around fun, but there are some problems I have to say about it. Crazy problems! The vehicle physics are awful. The taxis handle like inflatable rafts in a swimming pool, and turning is a nightmare because you turn so slowly, and at times it takes forever to speed up, and stopping and braking are an issue as well. They are just not the best here. The indicator arrows sometimes point you in the wrong directions, costing you money and precious seconds on the timer. I did not like the crazy box mode because a bunch of them are dumb mini games like do a crazy jump, go for the poles, or stay out of the water, so not very fun. Some of the passengers you pick up are really rude, saying, "Just go! Anyway, drive! Get me out of here!" Like, how rude. The Nintendo GameCube version is a sloppy port with bad controls, dated graphics, and no new changes. The PlayStation Portable version of Crazy Taxi Fair Wars has both games, but the slow frame rate and the bad voice acting do not cut it. The PS3 version and the Xbox 360 version are just an HD version of the PlayStation 2 version with the PlayStation Portable music. Crazy Box is a pointless minigame mode, but overall it's a great game, and the PlayStation 2 version is better than what most people give it credit for. Crazy Taxi 2, Crazy 3 High Roller, Crazy Taxi Fair Wars I have played, and I will give my quick opinion before I end the review here. Crazy Taxi 2, while fun, not as great as the first game. Sure, you can pick up multiple passengers at one time, but the city and characters and music are not as good. Crazy Taxi 3 High Road is basically a compilation game with the first two games, and the new Glitter Oasis mode, and honestly, this is just for people who own an Xbox and want Crazy Taxi and better graphics. Crazy Taxi Fairwares is another compilation of two games in a slower frame rate, different music to avoid copyright claims, and the voice acting is so bad, due to copyright, the licensed stores are moved and replaced with generic name stores, like fried chicken parlors like that, or pizza parlors. So Nintendo GameCube and PC version are poor ports compared to the Dreamcast version and the PlayStation 2 versions. PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 version are basically the PlayStation 2 and Nintendo GameCube versions with the music from the Fairwares version on the PlayStation P. And I should also mention here that there's also a Game Boy Advance version, which is really bad and stiff and stuff. I don't even recommend it. So I recommend the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2 versions the most of all of them. Now before we can end this review and give it a score, we must turn to our TTBurger Pros and Cons chart here. For TTBurger Pros, fun arcade driving game with a taxi to get the most money and the best rating. 4 cab drivers to pick from. 2 main modes that are fun and enjoyable with differences in both cities. The Offspring and Bad Religion soundtrack fits the game perfectly like a glove. The voice setting is good for the arcade, Dreamcast, and PlayStation 2 versions. Gina is a memorable character, and hey, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut, Fila, Tower Records, and Levi's store make an appearance in the game. Cool and fun sequels to use like a taxi bike with a taxi cab, and tons of replay value to the game. Now for the TTBurger Cons. PlayStation 2 version 1 has good graphics, the colors are a little washed out, and the frame rate bogs down in certain places where it should not need to bog down. The The vehicle physics are very wonky and handle like an inflatable raft in a swimming pool. Turning your taxi takes forever because it turns so slowly. It also at times takes forever to start the taxi when you brake. The arrow indicator signs point you in the wrong direction. The controls take a little time to get used to. Voice setting for unknown reasons is different in this version aside from the arcade Dreamcast versions, and I do not know why. Maybe with the licensing thing with the voice actors, I do not know. Crazy Box mode is a boring waste of time. You'll quit before completing each mission. The versions of the PlayStation 2 version are not very good due to graphical and gameplay issues and generic music and awful voice acting. So final thoughts here, the PlayStation 2 version of Crazy Taxi is still fun to play. Just be warned, there are some problems with this stuff. Now when I reviewed this game originally, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10 back in 2016, 2017. But I realized I was too soft on the game, and I didn't really give it a fair score. So the new score I'll be giving it is an 8 out of 10. It's the best score I can give it because it's got those problems there. And that's it for this TTBurger Remastered game review. Stay tuned, we're gonna have more reviews coming on the way, so be on the lookout for that. That's all I gotta say. This is Tony. Peace out, have a great day, and Crazy Taxi!
To pick yourself up and carve your own path. These broken dreams and these hopeless tears.